Hi, I'm Robbie Johnson. I want to speak with you today about 21st century slavery. For many people, the word slavery is a historical reference to a horrible part of our nation's history. A more modern term has been developed called human trafficking, but I would suggest that the phrase human trafficking is too tame and attempts to make the phrase more palatable. It distorts the harshness of 21st century slavery. This week, Hillary Rodham Clinton, our current Secretary of State, spoke in Washington, D.C. about a new report on slavery that estimates that 27 million people around the world are enslaved. Poor countries like India top the list, but even the United States cannot escape slavery today. First, we will examine 21st century slavery on a global level. Then we will consider the victims of slavery. And finally, we will look at slavery locally in Atlanta. Slavery is prevalent in both poor and wealthy nations. Poor countries are most affected by slavery. India has one of the fastest growing economies in the world, but also has the largest number of slaves. This map shows in red the part of the world that has the most slaves, 5 million plus, includes India and China and Thailand. Pulitzer Prize winning columnist Nicholas Kristof made this dramatic statement in 2006. Brothels of India are the slave plantations of the 21st century. Wealthy countries cannot escape slavery's grip. This past week, the U.S. State Department released their 2012 report on trafficking in persons, which listed the Netherlands as a source, destination, and transit country for men, women, and children for forced prostitution and forced labor. North America is not free of this epidemic. Free the Slaves, a worldwide organization based in the United States, conducted a study with the Human Rights Center at the University of California in Berkeley. In 2004, the report was released and highlighted that there are at least 10,000 people enslaved in the United States at any given time, a conservative number. Now that we've looked at modern-day slavery on a global level, next we will consider the victims. Men, women, and children are all victims of modern-day slavery. Men and children, women and children are the primary victims of the sex trade. According to Free the Slaves, 50% of all slaves are children, and 70% of all slaves are women or girls. Children are used on farms and in factories to make clothing and food products. In February 2011, CNN launched a special blog reporting on human trafficking called the Freedom Project. They report that in the Ivory Coast alone, approximately 200,000 children work in the cocoa fields, with many being forced labor. Men are also slaves forced to work in horrible conditions. Slave labor is used to extract diamonds in Africa. According to an April 2012 CNN article, blood diamonds from Sierra Leone alone represented approximately 4% of the world's diamond production from 1991 to 2002. We've examined slavery on a global level and considered the victims. Now we will look at the local effect. Atlanta plays a role in 21st century slavery. According to the FBI, Atlanta is one of the top 14 cities for sex trafficking in the United States. As one of the world's busiest international airports and a major transportation hub, Hartsfield-Jackson plays a major role in the slave trade. There are two organizations in Atlanta working to end sex trafficking and the exploitation of children. One is Innocence Atlanta, and the other is Street Grace. Please contact me for more information on either organization. Although we often do not see or hear about 21st century slavery in the news, it continues to devastate individuals and families around the world. Thank you for listening.